What do they want? What are their challenges? How can I answer that for them? How can I provide a solution for what they're looking for? If I can do that, that is going to provide opportunity. I'll give you a quick example. Of course, I'm in the fitness business, and the fitness industry, it's getting really hit hard in a lot of areas right now. But there's a lot of areas that are having exponential growth. And the reason they are is because some clubs are closing, and that's unfortunate. It's sad. It's troublesome. There's a lot of things we don't like about that. But on the other side of that, for folks that are forward thinking, for folks that are promoting, for folks that are over communicating, they're letting everybody know that, hey, we've got a home over here. If you want to bring your members over to my facility, we've got a home for them. And we'll cut some kind of percentage deal where, hey, if we're bringing in X dollars a month, we'll give you a percentage of that as part of the sale, and we'll honor these members. We'll take care of them. Well, what happens is that the guy that was going to go out of business, that maybe thought he wasn't going to get anything, now he's making some money. And all of a sudden, in some cases, there's some of these smaller clubs in the middle of a global pandemic, they've doubled their business. And that's happening. And that's opportunity. But it's opportunity because of satisfying needs, satisfying wants, satisfying challenges, and it's not being overly focused on the problem. It's being focused on what's the solution to it. And that's how we see it happen.
I love that explanation. Jim, when you're talking about that some people focus on the problems, and I think that what would your thoughts be if I said, if I'm a business owner focusing on the problems and I wait until the problem gets so dynamic that I take action, I've almost really missed the opportunity because it was there way before the problem ever existed. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I mean, you may have heard me say this from time to time over the years. When I get interviewed by, a variety of magazines, I always ask that one question, what's the most challenging part of consulting? And, part of me with a smile and part of me with a grimace, I'll say, well, the client, the customer, they won't call me until the patient is on the operating table. They wait too long, and they want someone to come in and save them. And it can be difficult. And this should be, it's a regular thing that we do. As a matter of fact, I was on a phone call right before I jumped on here with you. And we had our regular call, but I was actually on a call prior to that with the same group. So we actually kind of did a double call. And because what happens is we start to get fear starts to come into things, for a business owner, and we're struggling, and some are right now, right? Fear comes in, uncertainty comes in, and it's folks that have, you used some of these words earlier when we were talking, but they have that consultant, they have that coach, they have that mentor that they can trust, that brings them back over and said, hey, instead of focusing on, we know what the problem is. In most cases, I could bring in anybody off the street and they could tell you what was wrong. So that's not so hard to do. Let's focus on what we need to do to get it done. How can we change this? And, the interesting thing about it is a lot of times it is very simple. I'll give you an example of what I would do a lot of times is we will start to look at things a company is already doing. We'll look at maybe say 10 things, for example, and things they're already spending money on, things they're already active on. And let's make sure we're kind of clicking on all cylinders on every single one. Like, for example, is our website a nice online brochure or is it a lead generator? Well, it better be a lead generator unless there's a great reason to be a brochure. It better be a lead generator if you want to be talking to more people and making more sales. And how are we doing on referrals? What are we doing with former clients? How about folks that become inactive? How about corporate opportunities? There's all kinds of things in there, because the other thing that happens in this whole opportunity thing, particularly in the modern world, people want to, well, I just rather put something on Facebook and see if I can get some people that want to buy from me. And it's really not that simple. Okay. There's you want to do the guerrilla marketing and the boots on the ground, but that creates those opportunities. But we've got to focus on wants and needs and challenges and solving problems, because things will present in some cases that you never thought of before.
Right. And I don't want to leave Steve out of this, but I want to follow up on that real quick. So let's say that I am the gym owner and I have called you in when the patient is on the operating table, to use your words. Hopefully, I said that exactly right. Is there any opportunity you can provide me that wasn't available to me before the patient went to the operating table?
Okay.
What do you think about? Because, not to put words in your mouth or influence what you're going to say, but I just feel like if we're going to solve the problem when it gets terrible, we could have solved the problem before it got terrible if we would have looked at the right place, or had the right consulting, or whatever it may be. But go ahead, Jim, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, and some of this, I mean, it's knowledge, right? And if we're going to be great at it, we have to always be seeking knowledge. We're always looking, for, hey, what is somebody else doing? What are you doing? What's working? Let me give you an example. We have a client right now, and they're in a state that is really getting hammered right now, and they've kind of lost their heart for this, and they don't want to continue. And they don't know what their options are. All they see is problem, problem, problem. They don't see any opportunity to get out of this. And the problem they have is they've personally guaranteed 1 year left on their lease. And I think that's roughly $60,000. And so if he wants to close up shop, which he can certainly has every right to do, he doesn't want to file bankruptcy, okay? He's going to owe that landlord $60,000, and he's telling me, Jim, how do I fix this? How do I get out of this? And I say, well, unless your landlord is just willing to let you out, we're going to need to get creative at this. And I said, let's look at some things at what you can do. The first thing, let's look at your member base, and I'll kind of take this in reverse of what I just said. Let's look at your member base, and let's market your member base to the local community. Let's take this 3-mile radius of all the gyms in this local area, and let's see who might want to honor your members, who might want to grab your member list, who might want to grab your email list, your renewal list, who would want to do that. Let's cut a deal with them, okay? And so let's just say your dues base from your members, let's say it's $20,000 a month, and maybe if they'll give you $5,000 a month for it, for 12 months, there's your $60,000, and that's going to cover this lease that you personally guaranteed. And then we took his equipment, and we shopped that around for him with a wholesaler, and now he's going to get money for that. So he's actually going to walk away from this with some money in his pocket. He's going to satisfy that personal guarantee on the lease, and he's saying, Jim, I never thought of any of this. I didn't know any of this ever existed. And so we need to surround ourselves, that forward-thinking business owner, surround ourselves with experts that have been through it. I say it all the time. If you don't know where you're going, ask someone who's been there. Right. Okay. And we're going to present these options to them, and there's opportunity, because now that guy has opportunity. He's closing, but guess what? There's opportunity for him. Right. He's not stuck writing that $5,000 check every single month.
Absolutely. And
that's one way we would do it. That's one way we are doing it right now.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's, I guess my deal is, and of course there's nothing we can do about COVID. There's just certain things, but I just wonder if sometimes we weren't in tune to the opportunities that were around us, which put us into a negative situation. And that would, obviously COVID is not one of those. That's just nothing anybody could have predicted or challenged it before it ever happened. But I do think that there are other opportunities or other challenges that we face at times that if we would have been, as you said, Jim, forward thinking and more in tune to the things that were presenting themselves to us for growth, that we might have ignored because maybe we were a little complacent. Maybe we didn't feel like we needed that opportunity at that moment. So that's a little bit of what I'm talking about there. Steve, what do you have to say on this?
Well, I definitely am on board with the forward thinking. We see that a lot in our industry from an insurance firm standpoint, where there's a big transition going on right now. There are a lot of acquisitions that are happening, and a lot of those acquisitions are happening because business owners were not forward thinking. They didn't have a contingency plan. They didn't have a way to get out of the industry appropriately, or continue the legacy of the business that they built. And so they're forced to sell. And unfortunately, we see that a lot more than the other because they were not forward thinking. They were not open to new ideas. They were not open to bringing in additional members of their team to help them forward think, to become partners, to be equity owners. There's a lot of control when it comes to small businesses, and people oftentimes have a hard time relinquishing some of that control. Instead of forward thinking, and then how am I going to perpetuate this particular business to where it can long live way past my time in this industry? And so we see that a lot in the last 3 years, 4 years, and we're going to continue to see it even more as our industry evolves and changes. We have a lot of senior business owners in our industry that don't have an internal perpetuation plan in place, and they didn't look forward enough to figure that out, so they're forced to sell. And so there's a transition going on, but at the same time, the promising thing is you have the youth of our generation that is forward thinking, and they see the opportunity, and they're opening up insurance firms, opening up insurance agencies, and forcing those of us that have been in the industry for a while to change with that. And that is a little bit more reactive than it is forward thinking. However, if you're not reactive and think forward on how you can implement those things, you'll get left behind. Just like you see it every day, just like newspapers, just like you see businesses go out of business all the time because they're stuck in a model that's 25 years old. And they refuse to accept technology. They refuse to accept new ways of doing business, and they refuse to acknowledge there's new ways of buying product, and they don't adhere to it. So lots of opportunity. You just have to be able to recognize it, and I believe in order to recognize it, you have to be constantly looking for it.
And with you both, Steve, you being in the insurance industry, being a risk manager, Jim, you being a consultant, and really running the gamut of experiences that you've seen, horror stories that you've seen, success stories that you've seen. How do you help people recognize? Because, and Jim, you told me something one time. You told me that there's a lot of value to having someone, a consultant, a coach, a mentor that is outside the four walls of your building. Because we are so consumed as the owner with what's going on inside that we sometimes don't see what's going on the outside, or we're not connected to the people that know. And so I think sometimes as a small business owner and entrepreneur, we do miss those opportunities because we have a certain tunnel vision of daily operations, customer service, things like that. Just putting out the normal everyday fires that a small business has. How critical is it to have people such as you and Stephen to be the eyes and ears to help us notice opportunity when it's available?
Yeah, I think independent business owners have some kind of a mentor, coach, consultant, advisor, someone they trust, not a yes person, someone they trust, information help them with the business. One of the challenges of independent operation is they become very isolated, and when they become isolated, they become uncertain, and they start to contract. And never grow a company by cutting. You have to grow a company by spending. And so that's what happens. To your earlier point, what can you do? What's some simple things? Because one of the things that I try to do when I engage with a person like that, and they'll tell you everything that's wrong. There's no money, there's no time, there's no spirit, there's no hope. Everything's going on. What can I do? And I'll give you something really, really simple that I use it in the fitness industry, but I'd be willing to bet any business owner could use this. But answer yes to this one simple question. Is what I'm doing right now going to result in a sale? Is what I'm doing right now going to result in a sale? And if you can't answer yes to that, change your behavior and do something that's going to result in a sale. And there's so many ways to do this in a positive manner. Because here's an interesting little statistic that you used the word earlier that I absolutely agree with. It happens out there. You get complacent. And you go back
Jim,
to
you're cutting out. You're cutting out real bad. I don't know if you can hear me, but we are catching about
I
every
can hear
fifth
you real
word.
well right there. Yeah, I can hear you well. No issues on this end. Hopefully it's better.
We're only catching about every fifth word on you.
Let me plug this and see if this helps a little bit out here.
All right, I'm gonna go over to Stephen and Stephen, talk a little bit about what I was talking to Jim about. How important is it? And I know you work with gym owners, you work with the gamut of professionals. How, as an added value, how important is it to have someone like you that can recognize opportunities that we sometimes may not see, especially
I think
mitigating risk?
Yeah, well, yeah, it goes for all categories, right? And there's a lot of opportunity to mitigate risk that people miss. It is, and it's excruciatingly important. But from an outside source, it is crucial. It's absolutely crucial. We have them here at our firm, and we make it a point to hire and bring in the best consultants that we can possibly find that are industry specific for what we do. Like Jim is industry specific. You want to find an industry specific consultant that specializes in exactly what it is that you do and what you offer. Because they're the ones on the outside that they get compensated to find opportunity, to be forward thinking, to help you understand how to enhance the valuation of your business, and the list goes on and on and on and on. And from an insurance standpoint and risk management standpoint, you want to find someone who specializes in your industry to help you walk through that management process. I do a lot of fitness centers. I insure a lot of fitness centers. I know them well. I've been around them my whole life. But to find somebody that is very specific to your industry type, they're not a generalist, and they can understand what your pain points are and what you might be facing in the future, and to help you mitigate around those particular things. But to me, it is extremely important to find that person and someone that can grow with you as you walk through the growth plans and the goals of your business.
So, Jim, are you back with us? We good to go?
You tell me. Everything sounds good on my end.
You're still cutting out on ours, so I'm not sure what's happening there.
Got everything normal.
Well, let's talk a little bit about this, and we'll go with you again, Steve. Being in risk management and understanding just the reality of sometimes how people think and feel about insurance, and maybe wanting to wait until situations are better, finances are better, maybe get that bare bones coverage, whatever it may be, until we start to see a little bit better. Do you have to deal with that a lot, or are you guys really good at helping? I mean, we've talked about relationships, we talked about trust, and obviously if they trust you,
right,
and you understand their situation, you know what they're going through.
Absolutely.
So how do you help someone that may be on the fence understand that opportunity of risk management and the importance of it? Sure.
We do deal with that, Lyndon, as you would expect. I mean, everybody's wanting to save a dollar, especially right now where they can. You know, how we deal with that, it really is, it's sitting down with that particular person, spending some time with that person, and really lining up what their priorities are. And once you understand what your client or potential client's priorities are, then we can build a risk management program and a risk transfer program that is specific to what we believe that you relayed to us, what your priorities are. And then on top of that, we'll also go through the process of, look, here's what we see. Here's the trends we see in your industry. let's just take fitness. We'll sit down and I'll say, here's the trends we're seeing in the fitness industry. Here's what's happening. Here's the claims that we're seeing. Here's the dollar amounts that we're seeing on these types of claims. Here's some of the strange claims that we see that you would never even dream of. And so we're able to provide those types of services and really this is more an opportunity avoidance type game plan, but we're providing you an opportunity to prepare for that before it happens, to avoid the disaster, right? And there's opportunity for you to do that if you're willing to sit down, you're willing to listen, you're willing to trust someone else who's been doing it for a lot longer than you have in this type of industry. And that's what we do. That's where we bring value to our customers. That's where we bring value to our clients.
Okay. So let me ask this. Going into sports, thinking about sports and thinking about and talking about that. And let me see. We're going to try to. Jim, are you back with us now?
I am back. I did. It
Oh.
appears I was having an internet problem there. It appears we're good now.
You are good. You are good. So where I want to go now is when we talk about opportunity, one of the things that I've seen over the past 18 years is I think some people tend to believe that a particular opportunity may be around forever. And in my opinion, an opportunity is not endless. That's why it's an opportunity. You take advantage of it when you need to, or you can, or you may lose out on the opportunity. Having said that, do you believe opportunities pursue us, or we pursue opportunity? Or do I need to explain that better?
Is that for me?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think opportunities are out there. They're all over the place. And they're every day. They're all the time. There's another one coming. What's there today? Hey, if we miss it, there's another one coming tomorrow. And it's going to be up to us to recognize this. And I tell you, one of the key things, here's something that I do. I mean, I'm a big believer in not only myself, but hopefully helping others do this, but become a student of what you do. Do your research, gain knowledge. I mean, I'll go back, like when, the current environment we're in, I'll go back and I'll look at numbers and, okay, when you have a recession, what typically happens? What typically happens when you have high unemployment and those folks go back to work? What are you going to expect? And so I look at those numbers and I say, hey, there's an opportunity right there if we understand that. And what did people do before, how they handle it? Here's how we're going to do it. And so I think the opportunities, they're endless. I think they just keep rolling. It's up to us to grab hold. They're not going to come to us. They're not, and they're not always the easiest thing. You got to work on these things. It's not just going to fall into your lap and this is a piece of cake. But I think they're out there and they're all over the place. We have to stay focused on what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish, because there you can find both. Here's all the bad. Here's all the good. What do you want more of? Well, let's focus on that, and you'll get it.
Yeah, and I agree with
It's
that.
really not a hard concept, really. It's hard staying positive.
You're right, and I totally agree. I think that all of our opportunities they're limited only by our imagination, but it does take action and intents and purpose to grab that opportunity and do something with it. Let me see. We got about 7 minutes left. Let me see. Do you guys have anything that you want to add to our conversation today about opportunity?
I'll just tag on to what we were just talking about. I do believe opportunities are out there and that they are endless. I do not believe, and it does happen from time to time, but I do not believe opportunities necessarily pursue us. I see pursue as an action word. I think they can be shown to us, but I don't think they're going to necessarily pursue us. I think it is our job to actually pursue the opportunity and to be able to take advantage of opportunities. And the only thing that I would say in addition to that is I have known many people that try to also pursue too many opportunities, and they don't ever take advantage of one of those opportunities very well or to the fullest, because they're trying to also do too many things. I'm a firm believer in find your opportunity, give it everything you've got, see it through until it is ultimately either the success you wanted it to be, or there is literally nothing else that can be done to help save that business or to help revive that opportunity. Then move on and let's look for opportunity number 2. I think if you're scattered on too many of these opportunities that you're pursuing, you're not going to have the bandwidth to make any of them what you actually want to make of them. It's a process. It does take hard work, and if you do it correctly, I really don't think that that you can have yourself going in a million different directions trying to pursue all of these opportunities. Now, you can vet opportunities and find out which one you believe to be the best opportunity for you to pursue. But I'm an all-in kind of person, and so I'm going to vet them. But when I decide, I'm going to go for it. And I think that gives you your best opportunity for success.
Absolutely. And in vetting those opportunities, Stephen, isn't that where you and you as well, Jim, play a vital role in the relationships that you have with others? I mean, I'm not saying that you know everything about everything, but as a business owner, reaching out to gentlemen like you and maybe discussing what we see as an opportunity and getting your feedback. Because one thing that you have, as I was talking before about being inside of those 4 walls of the business, Steve, you see multiple businesses every year.
Oh yeah.
You have seen the successes and the failures, so you're
Right.
going to have some insight into what other people have done. And Jim, I know the same is true with you because working together with you all of those years, that's what I learned. I learned about other businesses and what was working for them, and maybe an idea or what I considered to be an opportunity, and you were able to share with me that doesn't work. And I've witnessed 5 other fitness centers try that. It doesn't work, and so you saved me a lot of heartache and a lot of money.
Yeah.
So talk about that a little bit. We'll wrap this up, and then I want both of you to share with everybody again how to get in touch with you, how you can help them in their particular industry. So, Jim, you take it first.
Yeah, I would say, just to kind of tag on what you'd mentioned there, is one of the things that we want to do with anyone we work with is we want to help them shorten the learning curve. And unless they're really flourishing and things are all going well, we're not going to be testing anything. It's kind of like what you're talking about. We're going to go to, hey, here's what history has taught us. Here's what's going to have the highest probability of success. And I would add one little bitty thing to this. One of the things that happens to some folks when they are unable to recognize opportunity or even just understand its existence is they kind of migrate toward a small think. In other words, when things get tough, they start to struggle, things aren't going the way they want, they get a small think. And one of the things that we try to do is, hey, it costs us nothing to think big. It costs us absolutely nothing to do it. So let's double, triple, quadruple our think. Let's think bigger. And then let's prepare that action plan to match that think. And in some ways, maybe we do start to create opportunity. But with that said, again, my name is Jim Thomas. Hey, Lyndon, I appreciate being here today. And my company is Fitness Management, Jim Consulting, Jim Business, business development, sales, and brokerage services across the board.
All right. Steve, what do you think about that?
Oh, I agree with Jim on all fronts, absolutely. But I guess my one thing to possibly take away from today is just if you want to realize an opportunity, you have to actively be looking for opportunities. It's it's that way in everything in life. Things pass us by all the time just because we're not looking for it. But if we're actively looking for it and mindful of that, we'll be able to recognize those opportunities, and then we'll be able to take it to the next step and think 2, 3, 4 times bigger than we ever thought that we could or should. So, but yes, with that, Stephen Pine, Patterson and Associates Insurance, commercial, personal lines, and benefits. And really, what we do is just we work to protect your assets. You sleep easier at night. And work to build a relationship with you so that we can have many, many, many years together, growing together and building that friendship. So But again, thanks for having me today, Lyndon. It's quite the honor. And I wish we had an hour to talk about opportunity. It's a great topic.
It is, and thank you both for being here today. These guys join me every Wednesday at 1:00, and we talk about things that we feel are valuable and important to small business owners. And so I want to thank them for sharing their knowledge today. If you're in the gym industry, in the fitness business, I'm telling you right now, I've got decades of experience with Jim Thomas. There is nobody better. If you're looking to increase your sales, improve your sales, Jim can help you. Stephen Pine, I've known him for many years as well. I know what kind of person he is. I know what kind of quality person that he is, and I know that if you're looking for someone to help you with your commercial insurance, Steve is the man. So thank you guys for being here. We'll be back again next week at 1:00 with Ask the Expert. So thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you later.
Thanks, Lynn.